Hey guys, Matt here. I will try to turn this into a far more important video, come back on screen in just a moment, but you just can't make this up. I heard this and then I researched it and boom, there it was. Top stories 7 hours ago, USA Today, 9 hours ago. Scientists say Uranus smells like rotten eggs. I mean, if this isn't a script we live in, I mean, you've got to be kidding me. I'm torn. Are they just messing with us? Or are they so pathetic that the script is coming out like this, whether it's created by real individuals or AI? Remember they showed us Pluto 2 years ago and it looked like the dog? I'll show you that in a moment. Look at this. Clouds above Uranus smell like farts and rotten eggs. Oxford researchers declare. Ooh, Oxford and Cambridge researchers declare. How would they even know what it smells like? I mean, really? Uranus stinks. I mean, your anus. You just can't make this shit up. All right, let me end this part. USA Today, Uranus smells like farts. Not Uranus, the planet. What's that, like a who's on first? My anus smells like farts? Well, it does. Yes, it does, but I'm talking about Uranus. My anus? No, Uranus. I mean, really? I mean, what a joke. What a friggin' joke if that's the best they can do with this script. No, I don't buy that it's a real scientific breakthrough. I don't buy it. Um, Gucci Gang. Anyway, guys, look, you know this, but I was reviewing some notes. I took some notes a while back from somebody that really knows psychology, psychiatry. Uh, just it didn't come from one place, but the most important theme of blending psychology, psychiatry into this prison planet, into the slave matrix where we all live, is the principle of fear, attachment, anxiety, and stress. And one of the most, everybody probably watching this knows this or has heard this, but most people aren't going to know it cold. And the reinforcement of this is so important to living the rest of our lives. It is that important. Basically, it's the only fear is created by being afraid of loss, losing attachment to something. If you're not afraid to lose anything, there's no fear. Now, I don't know how long you've personally been with this channel, and I haven't talked about it very recently, but in my opinion, there's no doubt that this realm or this world or this reality is constructed in such a way by a controlling group of entities, whatever they are, to put everybody in a state of fear and anxiety. In my opinion, they feed from it. They literally feed off of it or suck from it like Dementis. Call it negative energy, negative frequency. I've talked about it many times, but I haven't talked about it much in the last month. So the entire world is crafted to put people in the maximum state of fear. Now, fear in this realm translates into just a general but never ending persistent level of anxiety and what's called flight or fight stress. Even though right now, we're not, and most people we know are not running for their lives, apparently that's not all fight or flight is. Fight or flight stress can also be just a constant level of anxiety or worry about paying the bills, or is this going to happen, or am I going to lose? Is the company going to lay off 10,000? I'm going to get caught up in that layoff. It's constantly there, and I equate it to like a bird. If you ever watch a bird, I didn't even realize this until I guess the movie A Bug's Life came out oh gosh, it's like 20 years. So 20 years ago, I was naive to an awful lot, including birds. But they showed the bird, I guess, trying to eat the bugs, and the bird was moving so fast, and I didn't realize that. I thought it looked funny to me, but then I started to watch birds, and I said they little birds do move that fast. They will move their head 3 times or 4 times in 1 second, and everything's on a smaller scale with them. Everything's faster, but part of it is they're always looking around for the talons or the antlers or the fox's fangs. It's always a fear you're going to be eaten, and that's one of the main goals. Well, they've completed their goal. I was going to say goals of the control structure. So as technological advancement seriously came in, like the early 80s, then into the 90s, internet, blah, blah, blah. If things were real, and this reality is natural, organic, not hijacked by something, then I talked about it. I've talked about it on this channel before. I've talked with others that we have all these technological breakthroughs, mostly in the internet. The next 10 years, which gets us right now, it's not going to be about new technology as much as everything's going to get easy. All this wonderful technology is going to translate into making our lives easy. The level of stress goes down. The chances of missing your property tax bill goes down. It's just and that's what would have happened if this was real. I don't mean I'm not going there, matrix, hologram. I'm not going there because the reason where we find ourselves is the same, nevertheless. So there's no reason to go there in this video. But they've crafted it where in fact, things have gotten more difficult, more anxiety, more chances of a bill not getting paid, more things that could fall through the cracks, more potential surprise layoffs. I know someone personally that was a secretary at Wyeth Pharmaceuticals, and when Pfizer bought, Wyeth was a monster company 10 years ago. When Wyeth bought Pfizer, she was a secretary and she had just bought a house. 30,000 layoffs were going to happen over 3 years, and she survived it. But you want to talk about a level of stress. It's just constant. So if we could all go up onto a mountaintop and just say, screw it, I'm living in a box. There's no possessions, no attachment. Obviously, you can't get rid of your kids, right? But if that's the case, and if you don't fear for your own life, if you're deeply religious, or that we are immortal souls, immortal consciousness, you'd have nothing to fear. The anxiety would just go away. And if this government or people are so, I guess they're so blinded that the control structure that is there, they really believe it's there for them. Like these government agencies are, they're too big, and there's a lot of corruption and a lot of bloat. But ultimately, it is there to benefit the people. No, it's not. It's not. They don't see it. But what they really don't see is the entire structure is set up to create that fear. And in a way that's very it's not as it shouldn't be a big deal, but the society's done a great job with material possessions. Because if you have a house and then you just bought a car, and then your wife's car broke down, so you bought another one, and then you bought a shore property 5 years ago. You've got double mortgage, 2 car payments, the kids are going to college in 7 or 8 years. That level of stress is just, it is crafted by society. And of course, we're all big enough to say, well, who forced the guy to get 2 houses and 2 cars? I agree. But most people don't see through this bullcrap the way we do. They have to keep up with the Joneses. There's a script running. They have to run inside the script. And running inside the script, creates more attachment. And the first level of attachment is just through material possessions. But losing that is very, again, that's also crafted by reality. Losing that is catastrophic for people to lose their car or their house or their standing because they just got a new Corvette and that makes them cool to a certain group of people. That's fear of loss. It's no different. Now you and I can see through that, but most people can't. So I was thinking back, there's a time typically in everyone's life where you don't have any material possessions and there's no fear. And I just thought the only time I was really truly like that, completely relaxed, no fear of anything, because fear again, without, if you don't have anything to lose, there's no fear. That's the most important thing to take out of this. After I graduated Penn State, I had zero money. I had a few $100s in my account or whatever. I had a job, a crappy retail job, lined up. You work the floor selling electronics till 8 o'clock at night. But that was in 2 months, coming in 2 months. And the rent, the last rent was paid, and the tuition had been paid off. Well, I had a loan for 5 years after that, but it wasn't so bad. It was back in the day. State school wasn't so bad. But I had nothing to my name. I had nothing to lose. I was up at Penn State for a few months. I didn't fear for my life. But but then once you become, you know, part of an adult in the society, then all the attachments come. And it first comes with material possessions, the mortgage, the car payment. And it's just not worth it to engage in those sort of attachments that creates the anxiety, which is the fear of loss. But today it's just what just to close the video, what they've crafted is just, from their perspective, genius. We have everything is structured, so it's just more difficult today to create that fight or flight, never-ending anxiety. You just throw a dart at anything. Computers, have you noticed? Computers are my new computer. It's like 4 years old. It takes forever to boot up because of all the probably spyware and all the crap. But I think it's on purpose. In other words, my old computer, I have a really old laptop, and I think it boots up in like a minute and a half, and it's Windows. It's just boom, boom, boom. It's right up. And the new one, I swear, my newest PC, it's a desktop. I don't think it's fully booted up for like 7 or 8 minutes. I mean, if I go to the internet, it's slow forever until you can hear the stuff running. And it's not, nobody please say, oh, programs are more sophisticated. No, part of it is spyware and things like that. But but whether it be government spyware or private companies trying to figure out what your every click, I think it's on purpose. I think by now, 2018, the technology exists for a 30-second boot up. I think it exists. I think this is on purpose. You can look at back in the day, 10 years ago, we had Norton antivirus. That's all you had to worry about. And then as time goes by, they make life more complicated for us, not easier. We have antivirus, but then we have firewall configuration. And now there's Trojans and malware and ransomware. There's more crap today. So that dart leads to disease. There's always new diseases, whether it's a new disease coming out of the jungle or some overseas flu or even new types of cancer you've never heard about. Chronioblastoma that comes on TV advertising a drug. And I'm not saying it didn't exist, but all this, it seems like there's new ailments. That's pushed out. That's part of the script. Where are the cures? Where are the cures? 30, 40 years. There's been like no cures. Nothing. They'll extend life, but there's a lot of money in extending life. That's why they extend life. So, I mean, what else does that lead to? What's more difficult? Flying. Used to be I once forgot my license. In 1998 or 1997, I showed up at the Burbank airport and I didn't have my license. I had to fly to San Francisco, or I was flying down to San Diego, I forget. And I had a suit on. I was a younger businessman, And I just presented myself. And I said, look, here's some other things that show who I am, and here's my business card. And I got to get on that flight. And they talked to me for a while, and they let me on the flight. No license. Now we take our shoes off. If your name on the license doesn't match exactly your name on the ticket or whatever your e-ticket is, you don't get on. I've even heard, I mean, there is some flexibility, I guess, at the gate, but I've heard people, if they even the middle name is a little bit off, or yeah, I bought your ticket, but I didn't know how to spell your middle name, Jean or Jeane. I used the E, right, Marilyn Monroe, and oh, can't get on. Somebody that got your ticket spells your middle name wrong. I've heard those stories. It's just like, so that's more complicated. I might have mentioned a few weeks back, I'm on the phone with the treasurer's office of my county in Pennsylvania. And I'm going, where's my tax bills? I mean, I'm not dying to pay my taxes, but I know they're due right about this time of year, and I'm going to get what happens next. I'm going to get the next letter is going to say there's going to be a lien on your house. That's a tremendous level of stress. So I don't want to go there. So I said, where's, and she couldn't even tell me. Well, I don't, I said, what do you mean you don't know? You're in the tax office. Here's my parcel number. And eventually she said, well, yeah, it looks like you're going to get your bills. And eventually she was right. It did come, 4 or 5 weeks late, but she couldn't really give me any information. So I'm on the phone. I'm on hold. You know, I couldn't, Obamacare. I was caught up. Was it 4 years in a row I was canceled? I know it was three. I think it might be four, but let's just say three. I had Aetna, private coverage with Aetna, my own coverage. 3 years in a row, I got a letter saying this plan does not qualify under new Obamacare or HHS regulations for the the PPACA. So I call, so I'm on hold. You're on hold with Aetna forever. Literally, the first time it happened, it was like an hour and a half. Oh, you got to talk to this person. Oh, you need a licensed agent. It was so. I said, well, they're canceling the whole plan because there's a few provisions, like the plan might not have had a smoking cessation or a few things that Obamacare required. I said, well, why not? Why isn't the plan just allowed to add those four things? Why does everybody get canceled? So initially, I was caught up in those 6 million people. 6 million people were canceled when Obamacare went in. And this is my business. So because literally one plan, this is a Sharpie marker, and because it's ready to go. It's a marker, but it just didn't have this little thing on the front. This little thing, bing, bing. So instead of the plan just saying, well, to Obamacare, can't I just add this thing instead of canceling 6 million people? No, everything needs to be canceled, and you have to rebuild the item with the thing on it. That's what Obamacare required. Now, to me, it's very conspiratorial, and only people watching this will agree with me, but that was done on purpose. It was not, there was no reason for it. They said, well, this plan, this type of plan can only have a maximum deductible of $500, and the deductible is $750. Well, they can go right into the system and lower the deductible, reprice the plan, and at Blue Cross, 700,000 people don't get canceled. Obamacare, no. One thing wrong with it, shut it all down. The level of stress created, I was stressed out. And I was a younger person with no health issues. And I remember saying to people, imagine if you were going through some sort of disease therapy or cancer therapy, whatever it might be. Imagine getting a letter saying you're canceled. Now, you can sign up for the new plan, but that's an hour on hold. 2 years, Aetna couldn't even tell me whether I was enrolled or not. She says, well, it looks like you've done everything correct. We do have your application, and we have this and we have that. And it was, I don't know, like 4 or 5 days before New Year's Eve, the ball's going to drop. I said, you can't tell me definitively whether I have coverage or not. We won't know till we swap the system over from 2011 to 2012 or whatever it was. So the ball goes down. I'm thinking, I don't know if there's any coverage. They tell me I've done everything right. How's that possible? So, my experience with Blue Cross has been not great, but better than Aetna. But these again, I could talk in this way for a very, very, very long time, saying the way everything is structured today leads to more screw ups, more stress, more late payments, more termination notices, more bullcrap. And it's all done on purpose. Therefore, not that any of us can do it, if we have no cable bill, if we live in the dark with, some candles, and, I guess if you own the house, you're always going to have the four, the four Don Corleones are always going to show up with their thugs, and they are always going to need their payment. Um, you're never going to get rid of them. Nobody's ever free and clear if you own a house. Boy, I had no idea. I just bought in this. It's the American dream. Or, well, I paid off my mortgage, and what I still owe what? This $800 payment's coming due, and the school tax is $4,000, and all these the local tax, and there's local 1% of income, and there's this, and it never ever all this never ever goes away. I think I got to pay five thugs a year. Five Don Corleones come to collect, and if I miss on any one of them, oh, there's the lien. Oh, we're going to come take your house. It's all crafted on purpose, and it's very simple. If you don't want the anxiety, the fight or flight stress, and the fear in which they feed on, then the attachment must be taken as close to zero as possible. Attach to nothing unless you have to, like it's your kid. Thanks, guys.